I remember my first few moments, they're kind of stilted. They're kind of boring. Okay, that's just they're boring because I didn't know what to post or how to post until I finally got in the groove of what my market was on Palfish, and then I could start posting moments to that market.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get confused about, like what we should be posting for moments.
Okay. All right. Let me answer that. And then I saw that Rita, I think it was,
Yeah.
okay, had her hand up as well. So let me answer about the moments first. So if you want free talk adults, then you can choose to do some more adult aimed moments, such as things that kids wouldn't normally like. Or, sorry, I have people in the kitchen being noisy. But if you plan on sticking with the official course, you want all of your moments to be geared to the children and their families. So definitely post culture. They love learning about other cultures. Post things that are educational and post things that are fun. And do a mix of all of that, because if you post every cultural and every fun post can also be educational. So if you post a video of you walking around your yard, looking at the pretty flowers or looking at the animals live, you know, if you have a farm, whatever it is, you can turn it into also a vocabulary post by giving a list of the vocabulary that might be in there. In the video, practicing saying it. That's educational because it's pronunciation, just different things like that. So it can show them your culture and give them extra educational tidbits as well. All right, Rita.
Hello. Yeah, so this emoji thing, I watched a bunch of videos and I also heard that they like emojis. So I just had too many. I think I had too many emojis in my intro. Do you think that could also hinder your credibility or professionalism with too many emojis?
You know, that's a really hard question because as an American, I'm going to say yes, emojis are very unprofessional. However, that's not the case in China. Now, there's probably a level of overkill. You are trying in your introduction to let them learn about you, not your ability to press emoji buttons. So you definitely have to have a special balance there. So what I try and do is make sure that the emojis themselves are pertinent to the text. So if I'm talking about my favorite food, if it's pizza, I might stick a pizza emoji on there. So I just try and keep it as pertinent to the text as possible.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, I have seen people that have listed a whole bunch of different flags. And that's fine. If your text with those flags is, and I have been a world traveler, so far I have visited these countries, and you're listing the countries or their flags, that's fine. If you're just putting them on there because you want to let them know that you appreciate all international cultures, that's probably a little more overkill than they need to know. All right. Did somebody else have their hand up?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead, Tracy.
I think that's what I worry about, is that I want to come off as fun and energetic, but I worry about crossing that line. So, you know, when you're dealing, like, here's my big pen because I can't teach the kids how to circle lately, but like, and I was sticking stickers on my face last night and they're laughing, and I have, you know, but I don't want to come off as unprofessional either. Like, I'm a teacher. So, you know, where is that fine line? Is there one?
Yes. yes, there is a fine line, and it's called actually educating. So if you can stick stickers on your face and those stickers are actually either rewarding the children or educating the children, you have not crossed that line.
Okay.
So, and when you said stickers on your face, it made me remember in the training, and I will try and find it again so I can tell you exactly where in the training to find it. But one of the teachers who's been here almost as long as I have did a video about using props and extending lessons and things like that. And she actually takes out finger paints and starts smearing it on her face as she's teaching them the colors. It is quite hilarious.
I mean,
to watch this video.
The parents were in the room, and I could hear the parents were enjoying it. They were laughing, and then they were coming in. So I felt like I was an idiot, but if they're learning and we're all having fun, then and the kids started finally interacting, then I feel like I won. So
absolutely. I have I would say about 6 months ago, it dawned on me that my teaching style is half Sesame Street, half Pee Wee Herman. Which is completely contrary to my style anywhere else. So this is my own personal identity here on Palfish, is that I am half Sesame Street, half Pee Wee Herman. If you're not an American and don't know who both of them are, I'm sorry. Highly recommend you Google it and then laugh at me later. Because it's ridiculous. The other day I was doing the Are You Ready song. And my student was doing all the movements with me. He was having a blast, but he was looking this way the entire time. And when he was done, I said, was your mom dancing too? And he goes, and I'm like, when? If mom's going to dance around with us too, we know we're doing a good job. All right. Rita, you had your hands up again?
Yes, I do, because on that note, it just made me think of sometimes like class with the younger kids for me can get really silly. And I feel like some Chinese parents like are really strict. And I hear them sometimes they can be like yelling at their kids to like say the right thing. And then I feel like maybe we're being too silly, and then the parents won't book with me again because they want me to be more strict. Is that like a problem?
It can be. You definitely have to understand the dynamics. I have found that I'm not that silly when I'm teaching trials because I just don't know the student and I don't know the parents and how they're going to receive that. So I wait until I've done a couple lessons with them to kind of feel them out. One, then I know their level anyway, on how well they're going to do. I know whether or not they understand when I ask how many or what color, things like that, because those are things that I need to make sure that they can do, because I focus on extending conversation skills. So when I expand my lesson, I'm always expanding that conversation skill component, because if they don't understand what I'm asking them beyond what's on the lesson slide, they're never going to become fluent. So I try and stay pretty level. I use my props and we still have some fun. I just don't go crazy with it until I know whether or not that's going to be received well. Suzanne had her hand up, but Tracy, did you have something about this particular topic you wanted to say?
Well, I think what I want to know is like how you keep saying you expand topics. Mm-hmm. I love that. And the working on, like, if it takes me longer to explain to them, like circle or get a concept. But I've also read that you want to try to get through all the slides, especially like on a trial lesson. So what do we do? I try to get through all the slides, but then I worry that maybe I'm rushing the student, or, you know, I want to get through the slides, but then I hear other people say, don't worry about getting through all the slides. So what do you think on that? I mean, what should we do?
Okay. First of all, if somebody tells you don't worry about getting through all the slides,
Ollie,
immediately stop listening to them. That is completely contrary to what the company has told you.
Okay.
Okay. So your goal is to get through all of those slides. Now, sometimes it might not be able to happen, and that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the world. However, the students have paid for all of those slides and you to teach them to them. Okay, so they're paying for the service and the curriculum both. So it's important for you to teach all of the slides. So if somebody's trying to minimize that and say, you know, it's not that big of a deal, I don't ever teach all of the slides, or I rarely teach all of the slides, unless they're talking about a regular who has specifically requested that that is okay because they would rather go a different direction, then no. Assume you must teach all of the slides. You will learn a rhythm. It takes a little longer, one, when you're getting familiar with the curriculum. I got a great rhythm down on the old curriculum, and then they brought out a new curriculum, and I had a really hard time with that one for about a month until I had enough of those classes that I got the hang of the rhythm that I had to teach that at with all of my students. And then they changed the curriculum again. And that's the current curriculum you guys are familiar with. And it took me a little bit longer, a little bit to get ready for that too. Not quite as long, because I really think this one's written better than the previous curriculum. And it's more teacher friendly.
I just didn't know if, since most of what we're doing now is trials, and they're just, sometimes it takes me a little while to try to explain, you know, the like circle or something like that. Like if they're not getting that.
Yes.
So
it does. And there are things that you can pare down and adapt on the slides,
okay.
but you need to try and touch on each slide if at all possible.
Okay.
Okay. Suzanne, you had a question.
Yes. I'm wondering, now this is kind of going back, how do we get a second chance? Because when I was starting and they were throwing all those trial things up, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And now I'm at a place where I really want to get it out there. And I understand that I should post moments, which I'm doing, read books, I'm going to do. I've tried a few, but I wasn't sure what I was doing, and things like that. There's no way to go back and get people to pop trials up to me.
You're not going to get set back into the priority like you were when you first started. Okay. However, that is not the end of the world. There are ways to get yourself noticed.
Okay.
Hold on just a second. I'm actually going to bring up a graphic that if you guys are one of the teachers in my mentor group, you will have already seen this. I'm not sure if anybody else will have or not, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up here. So depending on how much time that you have, depending on how much time you have to invest is basically which one of these that you would want to choose. This is something that you want to do all of the items on here, because you're totally fleshing out your profile so that the class admins, the sales team, and the prospective parents all see as many opportunities to get an idea of your personality and your teaching style as possible. Also, they'll want to hear you. They'll want to see how you move when you talk, things like that. So that's why I created this chart. And then I had a couple other mentors look at it with me and give me some tidbits on whether or not they thought this was the right set of numbers that seemed to be working for all of their teachers as well. So between the three of us, we pretty much decided that this is what's going to work to get you back out in front of somebody once that priority is gone.
So how do we get, I mean, if I want to find this chart, how can I just go to it like that?
Okay. So I will post it in our 200-hour launch group. I highly recommend you screenshot it and then send it as a message to yourself on Palfish. And anything you want
gosh.
to be able to find. Okay.
I think
can
I know
show
how
you
to do that.
Okay. If you don't know
I
how
get
to
it.
do that, I can show you. Okay, good. All right. So that is one of those little tricks that they don't tell you you can do, but you can. And so if you send yourself screenshots or messages of things that you want to remember later, and you'll know exactly where to find it because it'll come up in your list of chat messages then.
Yeah.
Also, on this one, I made the chart, but then I also put it together with a description of what some of these were as well. And I will post that and the chart separately, both in our 200 hours group as soon as we're done here, along with those intro videos that I already told them that I would post. All right, does anybody else have a question? I don't know if anybody's hands up or not. The videos are hiding it. And before I take this down, does anybody want me to answer any questions about this?
I have
Okay. Okay. Hold on just a second. Rita just popped her hand back up. Rita, you have a question? Let's see.
Oops. Sorry, yeah, my microphone was muted. Yeah, so my question is, like, how are people getting regulars and how do you sustain them? I guess maybe if it has to, my question does not have to do with this chart, but I like it. So maybe her question has to do with it. But I just like my mentor group right now, some people are talking about how they're already 80% full on their schedule. I'm like, how is that possible?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret nobody wants to believe. But it's the truth. Okay. So your marketing will get the interest of people that are not currently your students. Your teaching is how you keep them. And when you have a student that likes your teaching, their class admin or the sales team member will be having a conversation with that parent after your first, second, or third class with them, okay? That conversation will happen. If they are singing your praises to the company, you now have somebody in the company who is allowed to recommend teachers, knowing that you are a good fit for this type of student and their needs. So I would say in the beginning, it's 50-50. At the point where I'm at in my career, it is 90-10. All of my moments, my lives, anything I do outside of training you guys is specifically to enhance the learning of my current students, because I have a full student load of regulars. Most of them I've had over a year. So it will fluctuate. The longer you are working, the more your skills in the classroom will come to the forefront as the most important part. In the beginning, it's about 50-50. And you need to be doing equal amounts of making sure you're great in the classroom and marketing yourself. But once you're getting noticed on the marketing part, that in the classroom teaching really needs to ramp up, and that's where you start to keep them. If you have brand new teachers who in the first couple of weeks seem to be completely full, they have done a fabulous job. A couple things could have happened. One, when you make a sale, you are automatically put at the top of the algorithm. Okay, so everybody that made a sale today, when they go to allot trials tomorrow in the system is going to give them a little more priority than they're going to give the teachers that did not make sales. All right, so I don't remember which is first and which is second. I believe it's brand new teachers within the first 48 hours, teachers who are making sales based on their conversion rate. So the higher the conversion rate, the higher up the algorithm you are. And then it's the ones that haven't. So that selling does bump up your priority in the algorithm. And those are for the randomly placed classes. So those are where the parent does not have a teacher preference and the sales team member did not recommend a teacher. The sales team is only allowed to recommend 5 per day. So don't think that the sales team members are sending all of their people to this one teacher. They can't do that because they do way more than 5 trials a day. Only 5 of them are they allowed to actually place in a specific teacher's time slot. Did that answer your question?
Kind of. Like, the part that did answer my question was yesterday I got so many trials put in my schedule just randomly, and then today I only had 1. And so maybe there's like one person in the sales team who likes me, but I also haven't sold any trials. And I've read that like most people don't sell them for a long time. Like it could be even like 100 hours before you sell one. And then I also read that sometimes like if you sell one, they give you people who are actually more interested in buying. So then you just keep selling more and more.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure that there's at least bonuses, but it might be straight commission. I'm not sure how they pay the sales team. I'm assuming there's at least bonuses, which means they want to get the sale probably even more than you do. So they're going to take those 5 that they're allowed to choose every day, and they're going to place them with people that they're pretty sure are going to make that sale. So they're going to probably, unless they absolutely have fallen in love with your teaching style, they're probably going to place those choice trials in with somebody that is a proven seller. However, thinking back over my experience, I sold a couple right away, but the company was like tiny compared to what it is now when I joined. This summer will be 3 years for me. I was brought in, let's see, 3 of the mentors were within the first 100 teachers hired. So, and I am the one that's been here the longest of those. I don't remember the exact number that I was, but the company has grown so much. I made sales right away, but they really bumped up their hiring, and I didn't make as many sales. And it went a while without making sales. So it's not that they didn't quit giving me trials, though. I still get trials even now, but that's because they are familiar with my teaching style by watching classes. They watch every trial. They watch it either live or after. Every trial. So they do see what you're doing in the classroom. Sometimes they'll make a comment in the classroom. Sometimes the comments seem a little odd. I don't know if it's because they're choosing multi-choice buttons, such as more TPR or something like that, and they just see the word TPR and choose it.
How do
that
you
I don't know.
To like or I guess review yours, because I've never got any feedback on any of my trials.
Yeah, you probably aren't going to. I'm going to be honest, short of outright asking my admin, I have never gotten any feedback either, except for the rating system and comments that parents leave. So now I have had conversations with parents and they've told me what they liked, but that was where they initiated it. I didn't contact the parents and say, hey, did you like the class? Can you tell me what you liked, what you didn't like? You know, they initiate that conversation. So my admin has talked to me about a class once, and that was it. She sent me a message and said, Mickey loved the bubbles. All right, that was it. That was my feedback. Mickey loved the bubbles. And in case you're wondering who Mickey is, if you see the commercials, he's the little boy in the commercials. He's one of the original students, and so they actually use him in all the commercials now. All right, we have a couple hands up. I think Rob put his up first.
Yeah, my question is on making the sale. I've sold 2 packages, and I could not tell you for the life of me how I did it. I did go back and watch them, and they were good classes. You know, a side note, one of the things about having the priority when they first turn your account on, I don't know if you can give them feedback, but they should give you some notice. Because, you know, when you get approved, it tells you like it'll be done within 3 hours or 8 hours.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the 8 hours was 3 days. And I was actually out at a market. Yeah, I was out at a market on Saturday morning. So I basically lost every chance I had for that priority, because no one said anything. I'm just at the market and I start getting pop-ups. Well, there's no way I could have made it back for any of them.
Right.
But that being said, so, you know, I have sold 2. I have no idea how I did it. I guess the question is more, do you mention buying the package? You know, what I do is I send a message to, when I get a schedule, if it's not an, you know, an emergency pop-up, if it's one that's scheduled, I'll send a message to them, which 99% of the time does not get read or, you know, no response. And then I'll send a follow-up one after the class, and same scenario, 99.9% of the time, nothing afterwards. Other than just teaching, you know, what can be done to increase your chances of them buying a package? Okay.
So reaching out when they book the lesson is a good thing. Okay, so that's right off the bat. That's good. It also is usually going to increase the chance that they actually show up for the class. Now, the trial class is free for the student. Okay, so the student doesn't pay for it, which is the explanation on why it's often a no-show. Because people don't always value things they didn't have to put money out for. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when you send out an after-class message, I usually send one out either that day, or if I'm too busy, I will send it out within the next couple of days. And then at the end of the month, if they didn't purchase a package, I will send it out again. And the reason I send out a second one at the end of the month is because most parents or families get paid once a month, and sales team really starts upping their game to get their quotas in at the end of the month. So they're also motivated. So I'll send out that message. Now, when it comes to outright trying to sell the package, the only thing I am trying to do is sell me as a teacher invested in their education. It is the sales team's job to sell the package. So the most forward I personally am with that in my messages is, I hope to see you in class again soon. And that's it. Let the sales team do the selling. I can't guarantee all mentors are going to be that way. I can tell you the admins have told us that the sales team are the ones that need to be pushy about the sale. That's their job, not ours.
Like I mentioned in my message earlier, you know, I have parents from my school, and China had questions. I couldn't even tell them how much it cost to begin with. Like, I don't know. I just teach the class. I don't even know. I don't know how much the classes cost.
Well, so they actually have different packages.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have different increment numbers of lessons. I believe it's the smallest package, unless you're getting a sample. They occasionally do a promotion where they have samples, and you can get 3 lessons. But the next package up, I believe, is half a level. So 6 units. Then there's a full year, and it's probably, I don't know how they do the pricing, but if they price anything like they do here, the bigger the package, the cheaper the individual item is in the package, would be my guess, is what they do there as well. But yeah, there are different packages based on what they can afford.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully my parents will sign up because, you know, That would be nice to sell some more packages.
Yeah, that would be nice. All right. Who was the next one? Suzanne, you had another question.
My question list is growing. How do I decide which one to ask?
Watching question and answer. Oh, what's a stupid question?
Okay. This is a 2 question, but it's kind of the same thing. How long are we with this mentor group? And how long do our trial students stay to where we can exchange chats with them?
Okay. Both of those actually have the same answer. Forever.
Good. Forever. Oh,
or until you quit. I was going to say, or until you quit.
That's awesome. I won't quit. I am a lifelong learner.
So yeah, when it comes to mentor groups, I was the second mentor hired in, and I have 4 groups. Suzanne, you're actually in my 4th. So my first group and my second group almost never have any questions anymore. And if they do, they almost instantly answer each other. Pretty much that turned into a chat group amongst each other, just to have a nice place that they can talk and keep away from some of the negativity in other areas where the groups are just too big. You know, it's a little more intimate in the mentor group. So at some point you will not need me, but I will still be there in case something comes up and you do have a question. I will have needed to move on to brand new teachers who are desperate for information immediately and post 100 messages while I'm sleeping. Not just you. No. Yes. My current mentor group is very chatty. The good thing is, though, they're learning very fast. So while I'm sleeping, some of them have figured out I'm asleep, and if they know the answer, they answer it. And most of you have figured out that if it's during my off time, because I'm asleep or I'm teaching my children, then you know to private message me, because then it doesn't get lost in the general chat if it's really important.
Yeah. I didn't think you slept.
Well, not so much this week. I will admit I have been up at 2 a.m. still trying to take care of things on the app. And, but no, I usually try and shut myself off about 9:30 if possible, unless I see there's a lot of private messages coming in because things are happening. Because unfortunately, that is also around the time the office opens in Beijing.
And do you also keep your, I mean, are you, what's that? Live, are you available, or what? You turn it on like for free chat, free talk? Is that what you do? Are you on there all the time?
No. I don't have myself set as online for free talk. I actually don't get free talk anymore because I was making so much money with the official course students that I didn't want to take the pay hit to get the same kind of student wanting me to do more work in free talk. Because I have gotten a reputation for children. And so my free talk quickly quit being adults, which I absolutely adore doing, and getting filled with children who didn't want to buy the official course, but still wanted to have an official course teacher. So once my reputation turned into I'm an official course teacher and that happened, I quit doing free talk, because the free talk for me, I mean, I teach children online. I teach my children in my home. Free talk for me was adult conversation. So once that quit being adult conversation, I just kind of pared it down. I had one student that I kept for quite a while. I think I had them for about 1.5 years, and they just finished up their last package about 3 months ago. So it's been about 3 months since I've done any free talk. All right. Rita, you had a question.
Yes, I have two questions. One is about something we were talking about recently, about the different packages. I had an official student, and when I went to her page, you could see the package they had, and hers said trial. And I've always wondered, did she just have a couple of classes? Did she buy a small package? Does the word trial mean a small package?
It's possible. Did you teach her trial?
No.
Okay. So the trial badge specifically means that they got a trial. And I haven't quite figured out why sometimes it says a lesson and sometimes it just says trial. Now, the students I have that actually say that it's a lesson, these are students that bought my trial. So that might be the difference there, is if you looked at them, it might say trial for you, but it says lesson for me. Okay. You know what? Remind me about this in our group, and I will post one of those students' screenshots and have you go check it for me and see what it says for you. And we'll answer that question right away. And Tracy, you popped your hand up.
So if we're teaching these trials and they don't buy from us, I have a couple students who are official course members, and I've had 2 classes with them, but I never taught them a trial. Where did they come from? Did they just see me and like me and say, she looks good?
Yeah.
I've also
Tracy
got.
looks good. Let's try her.
I've also got. I was gonna say I do know they watch, because I did get at the end of last month. One of the sales team, I got some message that was like, I love your class. I love your teaching. They will buy. Please show up for this class. And I was like, it was really weird, but I was like, okay.
Okay,
so
that was the sales team member telling you that they personally picked you for that class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, they do watch. I had a
they didn't buy, so I felt like I let them down, but because I still haven't sold anything, and that's what I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Because I feel like I've done a lot of trials, and I think I've done like 22 trials so far, and I haven't had any. So.
Okay. Well, I have an article in the training about how to analyze your personal teaching. Go through that, check and see, watch one of your replays and kind of do a check off, I did this. And if you find anything that might be lacking, send me a message and we can talk about some different tips on how to improve that area. If you don't see anything that might be lacking, send me a message and tell me that as well. And I'd like you to watch what you think is your worst class and what you think is your best class.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I had a couple more hands up. Rob, your hand is up again.
Yeah, actually, 2 quick questions. One, when the sales team put notes in for your trials, where are they getting their information? And I'll explain why I asked, because I'm just looking at the notes that they put in for the trial that I have with one of my own students in China. And this is my absolute favorite kid. Not that you have favorites, but this one is my absolute favorite. I adore this kid. And in the classroom, I hate to do it to her, but I can't have her sit next to people because she has such a charismatic personality. Nobody can sit next to her without being disruptive. She bounces off the wall. She is so bubbly. And here's what the note says. This kid is at the starters level, so please speak slowly. The kid is shy and introverted. She is about as introverted as I am the president of the U.S.
Oh. Okay. So they supposedly get this information from the parents in conversation. So this family. Here's my question. Are the parents very strict and she's very quiet around them?
Absolutely not. Actually.
Okay. Then we're
Yeah,
going to have to assume this is a translation error, or they wanted to make notes and pressed what they thought they wanted to press. You can tell as you get these notes, you can tell they have the same exact wording on some of them. So my guess is they have like on their computer little check boxes, check, 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 and that's how they send the message out to you.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering, because I had one the other day where it said the kid was shy, and oh my goodness, that was probably one of the most fun. If their definition of shy is the kids that I've been getting that they call shy, I will take as many as possible because they have been the best kids. They've been hilarious, giggling. I had one they marked shy, and I barely got through the lesson because we were having so much fun. So I'm just thinking, like, do they just check some stuff? Because I guarantee you this kid's mom would never describe her as shy.
Send me some of those.
It could be that they're accidentally multi-checking, like they're trying to check the box above it and they're getting the one below it as well and don't realize it. That is a possibility. I can't guarantee they have the checkbox. This is just based on what I'm seeing. This is how I'm assuming it's happening. And it would make sense that they would do something that quick. Similar to our reports where we can go in and click on all of the words they said well. That I figure that it's probably set up similar to that. Also, sometimes students are online a little more reserved than they are in person, or vice versa. And the other thing is it could be it's just a translation error for them. They just don't quite understand what shy and introverted means. And if a parent tells them that they're a well-behaved student, they may automatically think in their head that means they're going to sit quietly and listen. And then they're clicking shy and introverted. So I don't think that it's the same answer for every sales team member.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, my real question, because that is the one that it just came up while I was waiting. My other question is on electronic secondary reward systems like Google Slides or Stars to Apples. Do many people use those, and how well does it work? Because honestly, I don't have the dexterity and coordination to pull off I've tried. I'm not really great at putting stickies on a board behind me without knocking it over and letting the kids watch it fall down on the floor.
Which is always fun for the kids, by the way.
That's why I stuck them on my face.
There you go. All right. So secondary rewards. Yes, I usually have a secondary reward during tests. I don't often have them during the regular lessons, with the exception of we have what I call star parties sometimes. Some of my students are so into the lesson that my verbal encouragement is all that we do until the end. And then we have a star party. And on the star party, we do all 5 stars. I tell them, you got 5 stars. And we do all 5 stars. And we do a silly sound or a silly filter, or sometimes a silly sound and a silly filter for every single star. And do it that way. I do that with my older kids. My younger kids, I make sure that their stars happen during the lesson. I try and get them right around 5 minutes each. Secondary rewards, they do them, and they also recommend you do them. I have done a couple different kinds of rewards. You can do the taking a lesson reward. So if you have regulars and you're trying to increase the number of lessons that they're taking, you can do a chart in the background of your classroom that has all of their names, all of your students' regulars' names on there. And when they come to class, say, oh, we're going to level up, and you just move them up the level. And then they can see how many kids are taking 2 classes a week, 3 classes a week, and so on and so forth. If you want to do it by the month, you could do it, I did 12 classes this month kind of thing, and just level them all the way up. And the goal is 12 or whatever, that is. I do some sort of metal here. Let me put it in front of me because my filter is going to block it. There. Okay, so this is just a lid for game, okay? It's a metal, though, so it has a magnet. You can hold it right here in front of you. I normally hold it over here, but you can hold it and you can put magnets on it for the rewards. I have done a paper cutout of a crown and then done little jewels on the crown. Tracy, if you look at her video, she's showing you a rainbow.
It's unicorn poop and a unicorn.
That's what I was about to ask.
That is awesome.
And guys, I couldn't find the magnets. I did this with the chore one. The kid got a unicorn, and then I got to clean up all of his unicorn poop. But I did Velcro, and so I can just stick them on there and off.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Another one of the mentors actually does a sticker chart, and he just sends them a picture in the chat message after class that has their new sticker on that chart.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked about the electronic ones is right now I'm kind of a nomad waiting for this whole virus thing to go away so I can go back to China. So my space is really kind of limited. I was just kind of wondering how well that worked, if you knew of anybody using those. I know, what's her name, Jillian, can't remember her last name, Once Upon a Fitness recommends them, but really, I don't know her to know how well that's actually working for her.
Right. I think she actually does them on another device, not actually in the classroom. Like she would have that reward system on her phone or an additional iPad, and then she would do the reward there. And that would work fine too.
Yeah.
I've seen some people say too, they do the sticker charts and then they send the kid a picture of their sticker chart after the class so like if you wanted to do it afterwards.
Yeah, he's saying he's actually stuck out of the country right now because of the virus. So he doesn't have a lot of props and room to take things home later. So he doesn't want to bulk up on that kind of stuff right now. So he's looking for digital options.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I watched Jillian's
work.
video, and she holds her phone up to whatever else she's using. But I just, I saw it on the video, but I don't know how well that actually works in reality. Do the kids dig that as much as, unicorn poop, or, do they not care about it at all? I mean, who doesn't love unicorn poop?
It depends on the kid, and that's going to be the answer. I am often crazy and funny with most of my students. Some students we laugh through the entire class. There are other students that I am extremely sober and we just get the lesson done. So it depends on the kid. And since you are stuck as a digital nomad right now, try it out, see how it works. And when you do get back home, if it didn't work well, but you got some positive response, switch over to a three-dimensional one and see if that works better for you.
Yeah, I think I'll start a GoFundMe for Stars to Apples, because that thing's like $10.
All right. Okay, next question is Rita again.
Great. Yeah, I have a lot of questions. That's why I'm so happy that you're doing this. It's hard to find answers on Palfish, as we all know. So one question pertaining to what we're just talking about is, okay, so the kid, let's say give them an electronic reward chart and they finished it, and I keep telling them there's going to be a big surprise. What are some ideas for this big surprise?
Okay, so you're giving them an electronic reward chart.
Yeah.
And you want to give them a big surprise at the end of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. What could you do? Some of the things I have done is I have done a Student of the Week moment, and I have actually also switched up my introduction on my profile to brag on them at the very top of my profile. So that's something that you could do. You could say, my Student of the Week award goes to Oliver, he got a perfect score on his test and took 3 classes this week. He is awesome. He loves to learn languages, and I am so pleased by how fluent he is becoming through each and every one of our classes. Good job,
Great.
Oliver. Way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And get permission before you post a picture of him. Get permission from his parents, but, you know, post a picture of him on there and brag on him in a moment. And the teachers will flock to that moment. We will like it. We will like it. We will like it. And and he or she will feel very special because all of these teachers think he is wonderful.
Love it.
So,
okay, so what's the best method? I know there's tons of methods to apparently to get people or students to actually book classes with you, but what do you think is the best way?
Best way. Trying to think over what has worked best for me. All right, so if you're talking volume of classes, the best way is to focus, don't ignore the other marketing, but to focus the marketing on the reading app. And the reason for that is because it is the #1 free educational app in China. There are many, many, many students there. There are students where their schools have purchased VIP status for the entire classroom because they actually assign them classes, and these are not official course students. So when they want to go for an additional tutoring, additional classes, something like that, they're going to look at what they're already familiar with. They're going to be looking at Palfish first or second. So yeah, reading app. Now, it's important to read the books so that they can hear how you talk and things like that. But I think even more important than that is to reach out to the students there, encourage them in their learning.
Okay.
These parents, these students, they want to know that you care about their child's fluency and you care about it in a kind and encouraging way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can tell Suzanne has a question about the reading app, don't you?
Yes. I don't know. So far, all I know about the reading app is you read the books.
Okay.
How can you stand out with that? I mean, because I have the monster voice, you know, which is pretty scary. And I've actually looked up how to change your voice. It's that bad, but I've been like this since I was a kid.
Okay.
So can we read our own books at some point? And
yes, you can read your own books, not on the reading app, but you can read your own books.
okay.
You could do that on a live if you wanted to. Have you ever read the book I think it's Mr. Brown Can Moo, Can You?
Oh,
It's a Dr.
I love
Seuss
that
book. Okay, all right. So do you do the noises?
Oh, when I read books, I get all in. Because
Okay. Do that on the reading app too.
Really?
Yeah.
Because everybody else is just kind of just reading it as it goes.
Go ahead and do it on the reading app.
A.
Well, the thing is,
I sang some of mine.
yeah, just play around. Now, you're not going to score as well unless you read them where the algorithm can score you. But if you don't have VIP status, nobody's going to ever know your score anyway because it doesn't score you, I think maybe 1 book a day and that's it. So have some fun. There used to be, I don't know if it's still there. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly.
Oh my gosh.
Sing that book. When my students would get that book as homework, I would tell them, I'm going to ignore the score if you'd like to sing it. I'd love to hear it. Sing it. They also have The Wheels on the Bus is there. They have, different things like that. They have Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. There's lots of really fun books in there. Go ahead and have fun when you read it. I like the Elephant and Piggy books. And I always do Do it, you know, really loud when there's exclamation marks, things like that. Go ahead and read it fun, like you would read it if you were a school librarian reading to kindergartners. This is exactly how you should read your reading books on the app.
What about the VIP books? How much are those, and how do we get them?
You have to actually purchase VIP status in order to get them. There are enough free books that I wouldn't do that right away.
That my favorite is in there though. It's that The Princess and the Pea. Can I just bring my own Princess and the Pea and do it in my other
on
thing?
it.
Live?
Do a live on your. If you have a favorite book, please don't pay for VIP because you have one book in there you want to do. Do a live on it, especially if you already have a copy of that book. That's really expensive to do a voice recording of one book. Now, if there are a whole bunch of books or you've run through all of the other ones and you really want to move on up, that's fine.
My thought is I have a new grandson and he's 4 months old. And so I'm going to get all my favorite books, read them on a live, and then send them to him.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because then it's there forever.
I actually signed my daughter up on the reading app, and she actually uses the reading app.
Oh.
So sometimes a teacher will ask me what a profile looks like on the kids app. And because my daughter has the reading app, I can go in and get a picture of that and send it to them. But they don't necessarily want us to have student apps. I had permission from my admin because my daughter's using it. So I actually asked her about that ahead of time. All right, next person on the list is, says V iPhone. You'll have to unmute yourself, I believe.
Hi. My question is, okay, I keep getting trials, like the same trials, like Hello Fruit trials. And I'm trying to like make it longer than like 15 or to 20 minutes. So I'm kind of doing like reading I have my own flashcards, and I'm kind of I'm kind of teaching the kids more words than what it is on the trial. Is that okay for me to do?
It is. It is okay. Can you remind me what level is the fruit? Is that pre-K or is that K?
I believe that's pre-K.
I think it's pre-K.
Pre-K.
Okay. All right. So with pre-K, it is okay to do that. However, most of these students are going to be exceptionally young and they will not retain that many words. It's it's purposely pared down to fewer words because of that. So what I would actually do is more props instead.
Okay.
So say you're teaching apple. You have apple on the screen. You have an apple from your kitchen. You have a flashcard of an apple. You have a magazine picture of an apple. They're all apple. Just so that they understand it's not just this one here on the screen that's an apple. An apple is an apple. Okay. You can play around with the prop. You know, pretend to take a bite. Apple. You know, and get them to do those type of things. So they're not going to retain as many of those words. So if you can get them to interact with the words that are there more, that's good. You can also, if they're doing great on that and you can get them to chunk more than one English word at a time, you could get them to do little short mini sentences like, I like apples.
Okay.
Or apples are good. Things like that.
Okay. And I'm a little bit confused on you know, I always get the pop-up saying that like please select the right grade level, because when I'm doing the trial for an 8-year-old and it's Hello Fruit, it's like, what am I supposed to do? What grade level is that?
Okay, so 8-year-old's going to be a second grade.
Okay.
All right, so their English lessons are equivalent roughly to the grade level you would see like in America. All right. So the pre-K lesson really is for children that are around 3 years old, 4 years old. And
Okay, yeah.
However, if they've never had any English whatsoever and they're 15 years old, pre-K might be where their level is. Now, I would probably check somebody that's older on K because they're covering a lot of the same words. However, they're covering more of it or they're interacting with it more. And an older student is going to have the educational stamina to handle more of a load than that 3-year-old will.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, Suzanne, you had your hand up, and then it looks like Tracy has hers up after that.
Yes. Okay. I really, really stunk on my first 2 to 3 trials because I just wasn't. I mean,
I did too.
I can't believe what they expect you to soak in. But anyway, and I was having technological problems. I had to go get new phones, and they didn't work. But anyway, is there a way to let those students from those bad trials know that you've improved?
Yes. Your best bet to do that, though, would be to send them an invitation to your lives.
Okay.
And that way they can watch that you're doing better on screen than you were.
Now, how do we do that? I mean, is it like a specific or just say, hey, watch for me or whatever?
You can go into your student list, click on their beautiful faces, their avatar that they use, and then that will bring up their profile, and then you can send them a chat message from there.
Okay.
Once they are in your chat list, when you go into the live, you'll go up to the top right corner to share it. And then you can share it to anybody that's on your chat list.
So, let me see, wait. Oh, okay. Okay, that works. Thanks.
All right. Tracy, what was your question?
Okay, my question is on the trials, are they placed in there already at a level? Are we supposed to, like she was saying 8 or 9, are we supposed to go in there and look at their grade and move them up beforehand? Do we move them up during? Is that something that the sales team does? Do we do it after? I mean,
okay. So they have a couple things. One, they might get placed in there based on the parent says, I want this child to be on level 2. We want them to have a level 2 trial. Okay, fine. We're having a level 2 trial. That's where we're going to be. You might even get a message during class if you try and move them up or down to put them back because that's what the parents want. And if you don't do what the parents want, you're definitely not going to make a sale, obviously. So that is possible. Then there's also the pre-assessment that they take. There's actually a little test that they take that gives them an idea of what level they place in based on their word knowledge, their listening skills, and a little bit of their pronunciation. And so that will place them in there on a specific level as well. For example, my daughter is 8, and I accidentally stumbled across the assessment, so we went ahead and did it. And she placed, what level did she placed in level 1. Okay, so then if she were to do a trial, which obviously she's not, but if she was going to do a trial, they would start her trial at level 1, and then the teacher in the trial would determine if that was accurate or not and move her up or down as necessary during the trial, check that next level, and then in the report, go ahead and report it.
Okay, so we can actually do it during the lesson. That was my thing. I didn't want to discourage the kid by moving them during the lesson. And so I thought we were supposed to more or less wait till afterwards, then do an assessment, and then let like someone else change them. I didn't know we were supposed to actually change them. Okay.
Yes, you can touch on their picture, their icon that's up in the video. There's a little eye and a circle.
Okay.
If you click on that, it'll give you the option of changing the level during the trial only. You cannot change the lesson level after the trial. The trial is the only time you can do that. So you can change it, then you can move it one level at a time. I don't know if you can move it again after you try it or not. You're supposed to be able to, but I heard last week that somebody was having trouble with that. So I don't know if this newest update has blocked that or not. I don't have a firm answer on that yet.
It let me do it. I tried to change the levels, and it told me to change it back. So it let me go back to where at the beginning was. So it didn't block me from doing it. It actually let me do it like 3 times, actually.
Okay. All right. And then transition-wise, if you have to go up, then what I would normally say is you did an amazing job on that. Let's try something a little more difficult or a little more challenging and move them up. And I go directly into the vocabulary because you've already done an intro, you've already done a welcome, you've done a warm-up. I go directly into the vocabulary just to check them on it. If you have to go down, I, instead of saying awesome job or something like that, I'm like, you know what? That was a great try. Let's try another one. And I move them down. I don't tell them I'm moving them down. I immediately jump straight to the vocabulary page and go on from there.
Okay.
So, does anybody else have any questions? Oh, I have a couple in chat. Hold on, let me look. Let's see. All right, I have a question. Are trials that are booked in advance ones where we have been recommended to the parent? Sometimes. The answer to that is sometimes. You could be recommended to the parent and they go ahead and book. Most trials are going to be booked within 48 hours, and that is literally them wanting to have a trial and then setting an appointment. It may or may not have been specifically requested for you. The only time you're certain that it is specifically requested for you is if you happen to get a pop-up that says personal request. And then you know that parent asked for you. All right. I have 2 more hands up. All right, Rita.
Hello. So I know some people are featured in their first couple weeks, maybe even their first day. My goal right now is to figure out how to get featured. So my question is how to do that. And also it can happen at any point in your PALFISH career, right? Not just in the beginning.
I think they only feature teachers that are eligible for trials. I have never been featured because I stay at that 80% threshold where I do not get trials right now. And I have enough regulars that I'm almost always there. Usually there's like maybe a half a day before my regulars fill it in. So I don't think I've seen a trial in the last couple of months, short of being aware of them before they launch or seeing them outside of the classroom. Yeah. All right.
So how does somebody get featured? What does your profile look like? What is it?
So they usually only feature teachers if they have an intro video. And then the computer randomly features them on a rotation. So, for example, I was watching the list of featured teachers about 3 or 4 months ago, I don't remember which, and I noticed that most of the teachers in my current mentor group were featured, or of the 25 teachers featured, almost all of them were from my mentor group, which means teachers that come in around the same time as you are getting featured about the same time. Now, there are a few exceptions to that where you have an excellent intro video and the admin decides to go ahead and get you put into that rotation. That is possible as well. It's not as common. I don't know if they have a cap on how many they're allowed to do, like maybe they're only allowed to choose 1 at a time. I don't know. I know it is possible. The mechanics are there. I know it doesn't happen often. they usually leave it up to it being random rotation.
Oh, it's just random, really?
Yes, the computer system does it, with the exception of those few that get pushed by an admin for one reason or another.
Okay, thanks.
I can check and see after our training. I can check and see if any of the teachers in my mentor group are currently featured, and let you guys know. All right. Suzanne, you had another question? I see you're making notes. Are you writing down questions as you come up with them?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot. I have but
Okay.
I also, I can go back and look for videos, and then if I can't find them, I can ask you on a message or whatever. I go back to my trials that I did, and I watched the recording, and it's like a broken record. And my admin says it's not on their side, but is that what my students are seeing? Because it'll say, hello, my name is, hello, my name is, hello, my name is, and then it'll skip forward, and then it does it all the way through.
So you're saying the admin is not seeing that, or they're
Yes.
seeing it and saying it's not originating from them?
The admin said it looks fine on their end.
Okay. If the admin says it looks fine on their end, the student is not seeing that. Not unless the student is having an issue. That would be somewhere between Palfish's server and your router. There is some sort of hiccup going on. And very little of it can you control, and very little of that can they control. So
that's a concern, though, because my technology, I live kind of in the country a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're lucky we're not still on dial-up. It's that bad. But
okay,
it's getting
then
better
it's probably
every day.
Closer to your house than it is them.
Okay.
So it's somewhere probably between you and wherever you ping when you do a speed test.
Okay. And how do you know if, how loud I am? I mean, is it, I don't know. I always think, am I screaming at them because my volume's up too high?
Does it sound like that on your replay?
No.
Okay. Then don't worry about it. Plus, you also have to consider is that they all have volume control.
Oh, okay.
So if you do happen to get really, really loud, you're going to see mom go, doo, 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 and back off again. She's going to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm Italian. There's no quiet.
I never heard a Chinese say somebody was being too loud.
Really?
Okay.
It's a very loud country. It's a very loud country.
Lots of people and really loud. I'm not sure I could be happy there for a long time. I think it would be too overwhelming.
Yes.
All right.
This is good.
Anybody else have any questions? We have been at this for, an hour and a half. You guys are very dedicated to stick it out that long.
Do I hear too? No.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions they want to ask now? No? All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. If you have any additional questions you think of once we leave the meeting, obviously you can post them in that 200-hour launch group. You can private message me. You can post them in your mentor chat. Wherever you want to post them for an answer, that's fine. If you decide that this was helpful and this time next week you have more answers, give me a heads up and we can set up another one of these, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.